Welcome to Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and let's talk about the Netflix original documentary series, Making a Murderer. Making a Murderer chronicles the adult life and trials of Steven Avery, who was wrongfully convicted of a sexual assault in 1985 and served 18 years in prison until new evidence proved he was in fact innocent of that crime. While he was suing the local government after his release, he was accused of murder. The murder Steven Avery is accused of is the main focus of this show. Just like any other show or film, documentary or otherwise, someone is telling you a story. 50% of how interesting a story is how it's being told. From a storytelling point of view, Making a Murderer is an absolute masterpiece. Even if someone told me that right now that it was all completely fake, directed, scripted fake, I would still be incredibly impressed. The story itself here is unbelievably crazy, but the filmmakers are master storytellers. The way everything is presented, anything from the music to matching what you hear and what you see, they knew exactly how to make you feel what you needed to feel, and that made Making a Murderer an incredible experience to watch. So from, let's call it, a technical and emotional storytelling point of view, one of the most compelling things I've ever seen. Obviously, when someone tells you a story, they tell you a side of that story. There's no such thing as an unbiased opinion. For example, if something bad happens here in Israel, which it often does, the news story on an Israeli news outlet and on CNN or the New York Times, those are going to be completely different stories. Even if you visit two separate Israeli news websites, they're going to be telling different stories on the same thing. Making a Murderer is the same. The point of view of the filmmaker is obvious, but I think that's something you should expect. Very rarely will a documentary give you every possible detail and tell you to make your own decision about this. More often, a documentary will tell you, this is what happened, this is what we think about what happened, and here are all the details that support what we think about it. Most of the negative reviews about this show is that they left out a ton of evidence and only told specific parts of the story and generally just put a spin on everything to make it look very one-sided. To which I would say, obviously they did. I'm sure another version of this exact same story can be told that will make Steven Avery look guilty as fuck, like beyond any doubt. Just like this one pretty much does the opposite. If you watch this and get interested and outraged enough that you watch the Dateline episode they made about it and conduct your own mini investigation to get the other side of the story, holy shit, that's mission accomplished for these filmmakers. Making a Murderer is as much about the problems with the American justice system as it is about Steven Avery's specific case. There are some crazy fascinating moments in this show where you see people are lying or twisting things to make them look a certain way, and then being confronted with the evidence that says they lied, and sometimes those evidence are completely ignored. This show will make you painfully frustrated every single episode, because you're going to have all these details and you'll piece together a story, and you'll see people go directly against what you perceive as the truth based on the details you have. It's the same feeling like when you're watching a scripted show and in your mind you're begging for some characters to know something or to say something because of something that you as the viewer already know. When a show makes you feel that, it means they did a fantastic job getting you attached to a certain character. So Making a Murderer gives you that feeling times 100. The story Making a Murderer tells is terrifying. Just the fact that Steven Avery spent 18 years in prison for something he didn't do, and he obviously isn't the only one that's ever happened to, is difficult to wrap your head around. There's a big part in the story about Brendan Dassey, Steven's cousin, who also gets caught up in this whole mess. That is one of the saddest, most tragic things I've ever heard. Even if there are details I'm not getting, which I'm sure there are, to me and based on other things I've read, because obviously I've also done my own little mini Google 1-hour investigation about this, it seems like someone who just lost so much for nothing. I think the most important thing to remember going into this is that it is a story. It's a real story, but a story nonetheless. It has main and supporting characters, it has villains, it has twists, it's a mystery, it's a drama, and it's riveting. So as a story someone is telling me, the main negative thing I could say about it is that it's a bit too long. They did not need 10 hours to tell this story. There are a lot of things that are repeated and shown again and again, and a lot of interviews that just reaffirm what someone feels about everything. All of that has purpose, of course. Through that repetition, the filmmakers are making their points. But there are just some points in the series where I wanted them to get on with it. Having said that, I was glued to the screen the whole time. This wasn't a, I'm gonna binge watch this for binge watchers kind of binge watch. This was a genuine, I'm just gonna watch one episode, cut to 10 hours later, I'm sitting on the couch saying, what the fuck just happened? Kind of binge watch. Bottom line, should you watch it? Yes, watch this show with your face. It's compelling, it's terrifying, it will get you asking questions, it will get you thinking. Is it one-sided? Yes, very much so. Should that surprise you? No, it shouldn't. Does it still expose some terrible things about the justice system? Yes, I think it does. Is it an incredible story, well told? Yes. And carrying on with this stupid theme of answering my own questions, could it be much tighter and told in less episodes? Yes, probably. What about you? Did you watch Making a Murderer? How did it make you feel? What do you think about the verdicts from your own point of view based on the details you currently have? What is your opinion about this story? I'm still gonna ask you to use spoiler tags in your comments when talking about this show because after all, as I said, this is a story and it's just more exciting to learn some of these details as you're watching it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps out a lot. And remember, you can go to bingewatchers.space/vote and vote on what gets reviewed next on this channel. If you're finding Binge Watchers for the first time, welcome. I'd like to invite you to join the binge watching community and subscribe to the channel. Talk about TV with us. It's a lot of fun. But in any case, keep binging, and I will see you next time.